You know, we've all daydreamed about what a perfect world would look like. But what if we stopped dreaming and actually started designing? Today, we're not talking about some fantasy. We're looking at a blueprint for a better world, treating it like the ultimate architectural challenge.
For centuries, this has been the big question, right? The whole idea of a utopia usually feels like something out of a sci-fi novel, a really beautiful idea, but totally unattainable. It just seems to ignore the messy, complicated reality of, well, being human.
Okay, this is where we're going to flip the whole conversation on its head. The sources we're diving into today argue that building a better world isn't about finding one single perfect answer. Nope, it's about creating a system that can constantly improve itself. Think of it like a meta-architecture, a giant framework designed to slash suffering and just maximize human freedom, meaning, and our potential to grow. Now, to build this new world, we first have to just completely scrap the old blueprints. For hundreds of years, utopia was seen as this fixed, unchanging finish line. But, history has taught us a pretty tough lesson. When you try to force one person's vision of perfection onto everybody else, you don't get paradise. You get stagnation. And a lot of the time, you get totalitarian control. So this slide really gets to the heart of the matter. It's a huge shift in thinking. Instead of some rigid society where everyone has to be the same, this new model is all about being pluralistic, being adaptive. It actually reframes conflict not as a bug that we need to crush, but as a feature, something that actually helps us evolve emotionally and intellectually. This isn't a finished painting. It's more like a living, breathing system with learning loops built right in, designed to get better and better over time. The political foundation for this kind of a living system was actually laid out by the philosopher Karl Popper. He called it the open society. And Popper warned us about these grand utopian blueprints that try to tear everything down and rebuild society from scratch. Instead, he said, let's focus on constant, gradual improvement. An open society doesn't just tolerate criticism and dialogue, it thrives on it. That's how we can solve real-world problems, like poverty or inequality, without forcing one single rigid idea of perfect on everyone. Okay, so we've got a political framework. Now we need a philosophical foundation. Pillar 1 is all about finding a kind of shared wisdom, something that can give us all a sense of meaning and connection in this crazy modern world. This incredible metaphor from a philosophy called convergent wisdom really captures a core idea. Reality isn't some dead, lifeless machine. It's an infinite cosmic web. It suggests that consciousness is fundamental and that everything, and I mean everything, is profoundly interconnected. In this view, we're not just watching the show, we're actually co-creating our reality every single moment. So if separation is just an illusion, and we are all deeply interconnected, what does that actually mean for how we should act? Well, it means the golden rule isn't just a nice little moral suggestion anymore. According to this philosophy, it becomes the fundamental operating law of reality itself. Radical reciprocity is literally baked into the fabric of the cosmos. And this idea of reciprocity, it scales up. It goes from just you and me to the entire global level, forming a kind of binding ethic for our whole civilization. These 5 directives become our core promises to each other, a world that respects all life, that ensures economic justice, that values truth, promotes equality, and protects our planet for every generation to come. Having a shared ethic is absolutely essential. But to really, truly end suffering, we also have to meet people's material needs. And that brings us to our second pillar. How do we build a post-scarcity economic engine? And listen, this isn't science fiction anymore. We're seeing massive private investment. We're talking over $10 billion flowing into fusion energy. That's a huge signal of growing confidence that we can unlock a totally new source of power. Just imagine it. Clean, constant power that's millions of times more powerful than fossil fuels. This kind of tech is a major key to unlocking a post-scarcity world. Now, let's be super clear about what post-scarcity actually means. It doesn't mean everyone gets a private jet and a mansion. What it does mean is that we have the technology to meet everyone's basic survival needs: food, water, shelter, healthcare, and even a lot of their desires, all with very little human labor thanks to things like automation and abundant clean energy. So, if we're not just chasing endless growth anymore, what's the new goal? Well, economist Kate Raworth has this brilliant model called donut economics. The idea is actually pretty simple. Imagine a donut. We have a social foundation below us. That's the inner ring, the essentials everyone needs for a good life. And we have an ecological ceiling above us, the outer ring, those planetary boundaries we absolutely cannot cross. Our goal is to live right in the middle, in the donut itself. That's the sweet spot, the safe and just space for all of humanity.
All right, so we have a philosophy and we have an economic engine. But what does this world actually look like? What does it feel like to live there? Pillar 3 is all about our environment and how we can design our world to reconnect us with the natural world. The architectural language of this new world is something called biophilic design. Biophilia literally just means love of life, and it's all based on this idea that we humans have an innate, primal urge to connect with nature and other living things. And this isn't just about sticking a few potted plants in an office. It's a core design principle for our entire world. And designing with nature isn't just about pretty aesthetics. It has real, measurable, positive effects on us. I mean, look at the data. Integrating natural elements can reduce anxiety, it can boost productivity, and it improves our overall sense of well-being. The takeaway is simple. When we feel connected to nature, we are literally healthier and happier people. So what does this actually look like in practice? Think about cities with living walls and green roofs that clean the air. Buildings designed to let in as much natural light as possible, using natural materials like wood and stone. You got cities like Singapore already building eco-bridges for wildlife to cross highways, and even moving utilities underground to free up all that land for parks and for people. Okay, so let's bring these 3 pillars together. We've got a philosophy of deep interconnection, we've got an economic engine of abundance, and an environment that reconnects us to nature. So what do you get when you put all that together? You get a civilization that functions like a living intelligence. These 3 principles, which come right from that donut economics model we saw, become the practical, hands-on operating rules for this new society. First, we learn to think in systems. Second, we design our economy to be distributive from the get-go. And third, we move from a model that just drains our planet to one that's regenerative, one that actively works to restore the living world. And the ultimate outcome here is a civilization that functions like a living intelligence. The most crucial point is that this blueprint doesn't describe some perfect, static endpoint. It describes a system, one that's smart, resilient, and fundamentally kind. A civilization that can evolve and adapt without all the violent conflict and unnecessary suffering. It's a world that has finally learned how to learn. This whole blueprint is really built on this profound idea that by harmonizing our incredible technology with deep compassion, we can finally step out of this illusion that we're all separate, and we can consciously co-create a better future together. The ultimate vision is one where we realize that we are, in a very, very real sense, the universe waking up to itself. Look, this isn't just some theoretical exercise. It's a call to action. It doesn't matter if your skills are in technology or art or community building, or even just in how you treat the people around you every day. Every single action contributes to the architecture of the world we all share. So the final question isn't whether a better world is possible. The question is, what part will you play in building it? Thanks for joining us.